Well, welcome back and happy New Year. Well, I'm Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Can you believe it? I'm back another year, and so are you. And I'm telling you, I'm so excited to get the year started. I hope your holidays were great. I hope that that you're ready to come together and let's see what we can create starting this year. Well, the first thing I wanted to do just to get the year started was to I've said several times that I wanted to do a kind of a stitch book review. You know, I stitch mainly from stitch books. I knit and crochet mainly from stitch books. And it's just a way of life that, way before, I know it's hard to believe, young people, but way before the YouTube and the internet and all that, we had to actually buy the book, learn the stitch. We didn't know if it was right or wrong, but, or hopefully someone could show us the right way. And, I've always made my designs from either a crochet stitch book or a knit stitch book. And as you've seen from the last couple of years that you've been with me, I keep my designs simple. I try to do simple construction, but I enjoy a beautiful stitch. And I just wanted to show you how I learned to use stitch books. The freedom you get from a stitch book is amazing. You're just free not to spend hours and days looking for a pattern that you think you want to knit or crochet. Instead, you just find a stitch and just do your own creating. Like I say, I'm not an expert, and I'm not trying to be a big name knitter. I just want something really nice, simple, something that I will finish and wear, and it will look good and it will fit. So, I hope you join me starting this year. Of course, I have a lot of other videos already up, so please feel free to always go back and check and see what else you might, that you would like to try. Well, let's get started. I've rambled on enough. All right. New year, whole new projects, new excitement, and new friends. All right. Well, first of all, I just have some pretty yarns here just to kind of, get us started. Here's some pretty red heart soft we'll be using a lot of. And Vanna, which is my sweater weight yarns that I use. I just usually pick up a Vanna. I don't have to worry about if it's going to match, if the skeins are going to match. It's a good yarn. Like you say, I mainly use acrylic yarns. Now, but you are welcome to use anything that you like or that you would like to try. That is up to you. But if I'm going to share and you were learning something, it doesn't, it just doesn't pay to pay $30 and $40 a skein to see if you like something. So I'm going to be using just plain big box store yarn. But you can use anything that you like. And of course, Joann's new yarn, Big Twist. Here's Big Twist Premium. And of course, we're going to give this yarn a try and many others. I have a lot of surprises for you this year. So, I just want to put that out there just so it looks pretty. Now, let's get into what we are going to talk about in this video. And that is stitch books. Well, first of all, here's my theme, the key. The key to unlock your own creativity. It starts with an idea. And for us who knit and crochet, it starts with a stitch. Now, I have so many books, and of course, knitting and crocheting are so different. I can't put it all at one time, and I'm going to do just a few books at a time. So therefore, this year, I am going to try, in between my regular tutorials, I'm going to try to add some stitch book reviews of different books just to break up long tutorials. So we'll see how that goes. But here's my key, and here's your key to unlocking things that you never thought you could knit without looking for days and hours and weeks for a pattern that someone else created. We're going to create our own. So unlock the door, and here we go. Well, this was one of my first stitch books that I just bought for myself. I invested in myself, and as you can see, it is greatly used and greatly worn. And it's kind of sad now. Well, maybe not sad, but back in the day when I bought this book, I'm sure I bought it with a coupon, first of all, and it has a Joanne sticker, so I know I bought it from Joann's. You know, they have their little stickers up here. So I know I bought it from Joanne, so I'm sure I would have used a coupon. But even at that, now you can go on the internet and you can go to used bookstores. I use a Libra, I think that's how you pronounce it, Libra, okay, and Valor Books, and of course Amazon. Nice used books, or where they sell books at a discount, because these books are probably no longer in the stores because they're just that old. They're always coming up, a new book. So once the old ones are gone, they're gone, unless you can find them on some of the YouTube sites, on the internet sites. And I've seen them as low as $1. I've seen this book even on Amazon as low as $3.95 or whatever. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I only knew then. And I keep thinking, I'm going to buy me another one. I will. I am going to buy another one just to have a fresher, newer copy. But this is my original. Now let's go real quick. Let's get into the meat of everything. First of all, like I say, this book, well, let me show you a little no-no. Back in the day, Jay was new like you were. And look, she wrote in her books. I wrote in my book. And see how it just messes and ruins your books up. So, first lesson, don't write in your books. I've learned, so now I'm sharing it with you. Except to sign your name and a date that you bought it. Some kind of date or year or something. It will just make it will just be nice when you go back to remember. And this book, I want to tell you a little bit about this book. Remember, this book is the Big Book of Knitting Stitch Patterns. It's not by an author, but it's published by Sterling. It's Sterling Publishers. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this book. Okay. This book was first published in paperback in 2005 by the Sterling Publishing Company. That was in the United States, 2005. But the book originated in Italy around 2000. I guess someone, I don't know if they were in the printing industry or just someone who loved knitting, saw the book, brought it to the United States. An English translation was made in 2004, of course, by this Sterling publication when they published it. And it was distributed all over. In Canada by Sterling. It was distributed in the UK, United Kingdom by GMC Distributors, and distributed in Australia by Capricorn Link. So once they translated into English, of course, then it started to go all over the world. But apparently this book and these stitches originated in Italy. So we want to give a big shout out to them for sharing this wonderful book. And this is what I would call a classic. These are classic stitches. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit how to use this book. Up here it says, this book contains over 550 knitting patterns, which you can use to design your own projects. Yay! Using the colors and yarns of your choice. Projects like afghans and pillows with no shaping needed, and garments with simple shaping, that's us, are an easy place to start and will show off the pattern stitch nicely. Look at that. just what I said. That's why that you have stitch books. Okay, now let me go here to special knitting terms. And the most important one, which, you know, which if you're new to stitch books, is learning how to do the math of multiples. It's simple, but when you first kind of start, it can throw you a little bit. But special knitting terms, multiple. This indicates the number of stitches need to repeat designs. For example, a pattern requiring a multiple of 5 plus 2. Well, you could work it on 7 stitches because 5 plus 2 is 7. So you work on 7 stitches. That's like 1 repeat. Or you could do it on 12 stitches, which would be like 5, 1 repeat, 5 again, plus 2. That would equal 12 stitches. Does that make sense? Or you could do it on 17 stitches, and the math would be 5 times 3. 5 is the multiple. You want 3 repeats, so 5 times 3 is 15. Add the plus 2 would equal 17, and so on. Just like I've been showing you on all the designs I've done since I've been on YouTube. Now, like I say, I call this book, since it was one of the first investments I made, I call it classic. It has a lot of the classic stitches that you will find. And it has a great content and index of just name after name of beautiful stitches. And sometimes I know when you're looking at a pattern or a book, people have taken the stitch and made a design. Or sometimes, according to how they use that stitch in their own designs, they can variate the name or change the name. But if you have a classic book like this, it's easy to go back and find the design in its simplest or basic form. Like winding cables. They could have winding so-and-so cables. But in its simplest form, I could find it in my classic knitting pattern book. And this is why I love this book so. Of course, the newer ones are so much nicer. I don't use this as much, but this is where I started. And I wanted you to see. And you can see all the stitches, all the classic stitches, from lace to cable, multicolor, slip stitches, crossover, creative stitches. They're all here. Isn't that pretty? Now, let's look inside the book. And inside the book, like I said, they've separated it into categories. Here's classic stitches. And here's a stitch that I really love and I've used a lot. It's called Little Peacock. It's a simple work with a multiple of 12 stitches. And there's only like 6 rows to the pattern or so. And as you can see, I hope you can see that, a little something that I started back in the day when I was using this book a lot. As I would do a stitch, and especially if the stitch worked out beautiful, I really enjoyed it, it made a beautiful project, I bought me some little stickers like the kids use. I bought stars, and I simply put a star by a stitch to let me know that you have not only used the stitch, but it turned out really pretty, you enjoyed the stitch. Try it again if you like on down the road. In case I'm looking for something, I can always look for a star in my book to see what other stitches I have used. And, it's just a good way to kind of reference your own achievement of different stitches that you've used over the years. And I just love, that's just my idea now. Here's Lacy Chevron. I know this is a quick and easy stitch. I have a star. Thick and thin zigzag. Like you say, you see how simple and basic the names are. But of course, in other books, this same stitch will have another name. But you can always reference it. Here's a classic, though, horseshoe pattern. And I have a star by it. So, this is one of the, like I said, this book is still available, but it'll be on used books, on the web, under used books probably, or under, you can get it at Amazon. I've seen that, and I probably will get me a new copy. But I will never get rid of this old one. So, this is a start. Now, I'm going to try to do 4 or 5, so I'm going to move, after we've done this one, I'm going to go ahead and bring in another book so that we can go through and try to do as many as I can on the video. And then eventually I will do one in crochet, do some crochet ones, then I'll come back to a knitting one, and so on and so forth. Well, what do you think about this so far? Are you enjoying this? Do you think you might want to take up the key and unlock your own creativity? I hope so. All right, let's go to the next book on this journey of stitch book review. Okay, the next book that I'm trying to get through these. I'm gonna try to do about 4 or 5 each segment, or 6. We'll just see how it goes. But the next book that we want to, that I want to share with you is one that I've used. You've seen this one several times, and I think it's just because it's the size of it. It's compact, and I can carry it when I go to knit night or to knit with some of my knit groups. It's easy to slip into my little roller bag, and so I just find myself using it a lot. It is a go-to stitch book. The name of this book is Super Stitches Knitting, Essential Techniques plus a Dictionary of More Than 300 Stitch Patterns. And it is by Karen Hemingway. Karen Hemingway. Okay, and like I say, it's a great little book. Most of the stitches are very classic stitches. They're not they're not strange. They're very user-friendly, and they're stitches that you will recognize. Let's put it that way. But when you're looking for something simple and you want to cute something, something real cute, and you want to do something, maybe you really need something in a hurry, a nice simple stitch is what you need, and simple instructions. So, in this book, really pretty book. Of course, she does knitting basics. Most books, I think all of them do. It's very rare that they don't put some type of knitting instructions or showing you different stitches or how to cast on, things like that. So, this is very beginner user-friendly. So, this would be a great book. Like I said, it's not that large and it's not that expensive, especially if you have a coupon. I did get this from Joann's because I see my little Joann mark there. So, let's go into the book. All right. I like this, like I said, only because it's user-friendly. It's a nice size, a nice carry size. But she has limited to 3 stitches or swatches per page, with instructions over here. Very clean, very neat, to the point. Like I said, basic stitches, simple steed texture, diamond brocade. And then you have your samples over here. And I even like that she kept them on, they're on the needle. And I love that. I just thought that was really pretty. And like I said, they're very... okay, here's common stitches. Mock cable rib right here. You've seen that. A very simple and very pretty stitch. Nice to have. Crossed rib right here. Open twist rib here. So it will be, it's cataloged well. Like I say, and, for those that are up and coming to improve your skills, this is a great book. Very now, this book, she does not do charts, But that's fine because, you know, like I said, I prefer the written pattern. That's just me. I read charts, but, you know, unless it's just for some reason I just want to, or the group that I'm in, or we're doing charts, I prefer to just have the pattern so I can go row by row. And as you can see, her rows are very clean and very to the point, just like her samples are. Very nice. And, of course, she has a variety, like I say. Then there's all kind of textured stitches. Here is edgings. She has quite a beautiful edging in her book. But like I say, they're very basic and common. Not anything out of the norm, okay? All right, here's the one we finished on, the teacher's shawl. Feather edging. This is the one that I shared with you in one of the videos. And here's some others that I'm sure I will be doing in the future. Very simple. Very, but pretty. Now, then, of course, she has a great cable section with lots of nice, look at that. Now, on the cabling, she, there's 3, and she combined them on the swatch, which I thought was very unique and very different. On this side, we have bauble brocade. Then in the center, hollow oak with baubles. Isn't that pretty? I wish you could just, I don't know if this camera's picking that up, but that is so pretty. And then right here on the opposite edge is the smock honeycomb. Oh, I'd like to do that. And just like she presents it right here, I would love to do that. Isn't that pretty? Wasn't that a good idea? She just put them all on one swatch. And it looks gorgeous. Okay, now here's some beautiful. Look at all these. Look at these pictures. Aren't they pretty? Oh, all kind of bauble scallops, the wheat tier pattern. Then she has, of course, the loops and your little fringe edging. Here's another one that she's combined all on one swatch. So as you can see, this is a very nice book. Like I say, it's compact, it's ready to go wherever you want to go. Now, I take it back. Yes, for some reason, some things she did do charts. Now, the charts are a little small, but they are clear. Like I said, but it wouldn't bother me because I would be doing it by the printed by each row. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know why it's just some that she did charts for. I don't know. But then she did the pattern. See how nice the pattern is. So it is just one that I think you should, like I said, these books, most of them are no longer in the stores. They're going to be hard to find. You will probably have to go online to the used book stores, a Libris or Valor Books, or even, like I said, Amazon. And I'm telling you, the prices are just, you can get them for hardly anything. But they are worth the money. And I'm telling you, we will use these books a lot. So don't be afraid. If you think you're going to get into stitch books and you'd like to start out, this is a great one to start out with. I believe that you will like this book. So, that's another one. But, as we go on, boom! Okay, now we're moving on up. All right, the next book I want to tell you about. This book, well, I didn't get it from Joann's. I was at Barnes & Noble one day, and you know me, I love coupons. And of course, I couldn't use my Joann coupons or anything. And I looked at the book, and I looked at the price, and I looked at the book, and I put it back, and I went home, and a week later, of course, I went back and bought it. I couldn't stand it because Joann didn't have it. And yes, I probably could have found it somewhere online, but I wanted it right then. So I went ahead and splurged and got this book. And it is the Knit Stitch Pattern Handbook, an essential collection of designer stitches and techniques by Melissa Liebman. Now, a lot of you probably have seen other things by Melissa. She has a lot of books and all type of things out. I used to buy her. She had a few DVDs or a couple DVDs. I don't have them out now, but before I got into knit groups, I would just buy them. The projects were beginner projects, but it was just nice. It was like knitting with someone. It was like knitting with Melissa. So I'm sure I have other books. I'm sure I'll show you that I bought that she has, had done. But I just wanted to go ahead and get this one. I couldn't stand it any longer. Okay, now let me tell you about the book. She has, of course, all books. You have all kind of introductions, and she gives a lot of information, FYI, things up front. Now, but when we get into the book, first of all, this would not be a beginner book. This is if you're ready to move into a more, into harder patterns. You're ready to really invest into learning and doing stitches to get yourself outside of the box and, so that you can do more exciting stitches. But starting off, everything is very clean, very to the point, simple to use. She starts out really simple. She does do little graphs, but they are small, but they are very simple in design. Easy to look at. Even I can even look at them without even my bifocals. Okay, so, but as you move through the book, of course, it starts to get, the stitches become more intricate, more advanced. But she has kept a cleanness of the pattern, of the rows, of the charts. Now, the swatch pictures are not as large as, with all this paper left at the bottom. You wonder why didn't they do a larger swatch of the sample, because all this is just wasted space here, but I don't know. But it's still worth what I paid for it. And like I say, if you're ready, look at that. Isn't that pretty? There's some with color. Like I say, now here's a chart. Now see how nice and clean, and I believe you can even see that. And yet here's the written pattern. This is Diamond Shadows. And I have seen patterns in here that I've not seen in other books also. And that's the thing I look for too. If it's just the same patterns over and over, which a lot of the stitch books are. But sometimes when you flip through them, if you used to this, you will say, oh man, there's some patterns I've not seen. And that will also help you decide whether to buy a stitch book. Now, I know what I want to tell you too. In the back of this book, she has a great, I believe this is the one. Yes, she has every book, at least most of them should have, a section on the abbreviations, on all the abbreviations that she's using in the book to represent, or symbols. Stitch key guide, a guide to all the symbols that she's used. And the only thing is, it is small print. But like I said, the book is not a huge book. But it is fantastic. There's symbols in here I've not seen other places, And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And it's nice to have. A little thing that I do when I find a book that they have really gone through the effort to make a great stitch key guide or an abbreviation page, a lot of times I will make a photocopy of this for my own personal use, so when I go out to knit or wherever, or so that I will have a copy if I come across a symbol or something that I don't recognize or understand. So this is just excellent. You can see symbols like I said I've not even paid attention to or seen or don't remember. So this way you will have it, and of course you will need it with this book. This is why I say it is not a beginner book, but it is one that if you want to advance your knitting, it will be a great one to add to your library. So this is a wonderful book. I can't wait till we work out of this book and, you know, create some beautiful projects from this book. Look at that. See some of these cables I've not even seen. Ah, that's just absolutely gorgeous. Now, look like the swatch gets a little bit, look like they get a little larger as she got a little further into the book. But I say again, this is a great book to go ahead and have if you come across it, especially on the web, on the YouTube sites, and you get a great buy. The Knit Stitch Pattern Handbook, 300 Designer Stitches and Techniques by Melissa Liebman. Good book. You won't feel bad for spending the money, and you will get to enjoy it. Okay, let's see what else we have. Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it's going to get better. Moving to my next two selections of my stitch books, my stitch book review, and why I love stitch books. The next two selections I absolutely love. And maybe I should move this one until we come back to it so I can really have you to zoom in on this one. The next one is, I'm trying not to have a glare on it, 250 Essential Stitches, Knit Stitch Dictionary by Debbie Tomskis, Tomskis, Debbie Tomskis. Okay, well, I don't even know where to start on this book. I saw this book sometime back in the summer somewhere at Joann's, because I've got my Joann sticker over here. I picked it up, looked at it, wasn't quite sure, I don't know why. I think I just wanted to spend my coupon on something else that week or that day. But this book won out, and of course I got it and I brought it home. And man, am I glad I did. Starting right off the bat, I love the cover. And as you go into the book, it's very inviting. Right off the front, right in the front cover there, you see some beautiful pictures. I love that about the book. Then her table of contents is set up a little different. It has little circles of for each stitch that's represented in this book. It's kind of unique and different. It's small, but don't worry, when you get to the original stitch, it's large enough for you to see. But this, I thought it was very inviting, very cute, very interesting. It just makes you right off the bat, oh, I want to see more. What else is in this book? Okay, so this is the contents and of the different stitches. Look at that. Doesn't that make you want to go further? Just by the way she presents just the stitches in little windows to make you want to know more. Okay, now once we get into the book, there's a very interesting article. It's called Meet the Author. And of course I won't read it for my video, but it's very interesting. She tells you she really starts off at age 6. Can you imagine? She started wanting to create stitches and getting into knitting as young as age 6. And then it has a little stamp sign name there. Then it goes into the next step is about this book, where she's telling you how this book is set up, and a lot of the others haven't done that, and I really thought that was nice. It's like a little graph, like you'd see in a directory type book, and she calls out, tells you exactly what things are. This is the swatch, and it says provides a great visual reference for how the finished stitch will look, and she shows you that. The next thing she says, stitches are clearly named and numbered. Use the visual glossary to easily pick out the stitch that excites you. So each stitch is named. That's great. And I have something else to say once we get into it on that. I want to show you something else. All right. Clear written pattern guides you through the creation of the stitch. At the end of the pattern, you will see the rows that you should repeat to continue building the pattern to the desired size, and of course whatever we're going to design. And it gives abbreviations or special stitches are explained with clear instructions when they are needed. A full list of symbols and abbreviations can be found on pages 186 and 189. And it goes on. She has information about the chart. She has beautiful charts. She goes in depth about the charts. Let's see, guideline for the number of stitches you should cast on to begin this stitch are indicated here. That's the multiple. And let's see, stitches are divided into 11 stitch families to aid navigation. These are indicated here on the edge of the book. That's going to be your, how she's going to categorize it. Okay. Right here, that's really something different that I have not seen in any other book. Right below each one, and we're going to turn to a page so you can see it clearly, but it says, recommended yarn weight. Help you to plan how you will use the stitches in a real-life knitting project. Can you see this directory of stitches? Not seen that anywhere else. Debbie, you're already on the A-list. This is beautiful. Okay, let's get into it. All right, directory of stitches. This is number 1. Now, she starts off, with very general stitches. And it says knit and purl stitches right along the edge here. So you know that this is just your basic stitches. You have your reverse stockinette stitch, your 1x1 rib, your double rib, 2x1 rib, mistake rib, fisherman ribs, and so on. And very clear patterns. All the information is right at your fingertip. You don't have to turn to find, the information that you need. She's put it all on the page with each swatch. Very nice. Here's a example of her chart. Very nice and clear. Clean pages. Now let's get over into some of the meat so I can show you what was just so exciting even more about this book. I was trying to find, okay, let's see. Here's twisted and traveling stitches. That's a category. Let's see another one. Baubles, puffs, and clusters. Eyelet and lace. Oh, well, we can stop here. Let's try this. Okay, for instance, and each stitch is numbered. Not the page so much, but each stitch has a number so that you can, it will help you find the stitch later on, I guess. So, if I stop here at stitch number 57 in her book called Thistle, the next thing right up under that name, listen to what she tells you. This is the exciting part to me. She gives a little information to help you. It says, these dainty lace thistles produce an attractive scallop edge and would make a very nice edging band or an all-over pattern for a garment. Replace the garter rows with stockinette stitches for a different look. Now, if you're really new, you know, that doesn't really have a, you know, maybe not affect you right now. But to a knitter, an advanced, you know, intermediate or advanced, that's just a way of just kind of letting you know, okay, it gives you an idea how you might try to take this stitch and make something. Also, look right up under that, yarn. She recommends lightweight to bulky for this stitch. So that kind of helps me too, you know, especially when we got a stash we're trying to go through. Let me think. Lightweight to bulky. Oh, I can find something in my stash. And then next we have the rows, where we have the multiple. This stitch is a multiple of 10 stitches plus 1. 10 stitches. Every time you want to repeat the pattern, it's 10 stitches. And at the end of the whole repeat, you add a plus 1. And then it goes into the rows. Taking time. They're very clear rows. Like I said, I can even read them without even my bifocals if I kind of pressed in. Okay. Then after that, she gives the abbreviation so I don't have to flip. You know, when you're knitting and all of a sudden you got to stop, you got to try to remember the abbreviation, you got to flip and find it. Oh yeah, that's what that means. It's right here with the, right up under the pattern, abbreviations. S2PP. So a new knitter might say, S2PP. Well, she gives it right here. Slip 2 stitches. Purl 1. Pass 2 slip stitches over. Isn't that a good one? S2PP. Slip 2 stitches, purl 1, pass 2 slip stitches over. Oh, how interesting. And so on. And then, of course, at the very bottom, right up under the stitch, then for those that love charts, there's a nice chart with the repeat outlined in red. Wow, everything is right here. Love the way it's set up. Love the way the extra information. Look at this, because I'm going to be working on some of these eyelet and lace stitches. Twisted leaf lace stitch. This interesting pattern creates a lovely, unindulging edge, idyllic suited to a decorative edging, scarf, or other items where a shaped edging is desirable. Yarn, lightweight to bulky. So all those who think you can't use bulky for lace, right here, she says, oh no, I suggest that. Isn't that great? And a chart with the repeat outlined in red. Now, I want to go to, oh, here's one. The only reason I'm going to stop here is because I've been working a pattern in Madeira lace out of this book. And it was absolutely wonderful to knit. I had no problems with it, no confusion or anything. And this is the book I will be using in a project coming up in the spring. Okay, but let me get to the another part that I want to get to on this book. And that is the back. Show you how complete and how much work she really put into getting this right. In the very back of her book, she has her symbols, you know, to go with the charts, and abbreviations also, what the symbols mean. And I'm telling you, look how nice and clear her symbols are. In some of the other books, even the ones we've shared on this tape, some of them are so small, I have to admit, sometimes I have to get my little magnifying glass to kind of look and see what the symbol actually, you know, what it really looks like. But look at these symbols. Like I said, I could see it without my bifocals. and they're clear symbols. And then right beside it, now here's one here's one I don't know. It looks like a little flower. And that means knit 1 elongated 5 times. Oh my gosh. Knit a stitch wrapping yarn around needle 6 times. On next row, drop the extra wraps from the needle. But that's a knit 1 elongated 5 times symbol. Isn't that interesting? Right here, here's a strange one I've not seen. You know, there's so many on here. M3P. Make 3 from 1 purlwise, increasing 2 stitches. Purl 1, yarn over, purl 1 in the next stitch. So, there are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then on this page, there's the cables, all the cross over stitches, all the symbols for those. I'm telling you, this book is just wonderful, even for a beginner. I believe a beginner, you know, not just brand new, but if you're still in the beginner stage and you're trying to master not only symbols but charts and the terms, this is your book. This is it. She has done a fantastic job, and I'm telling you, I am so happy that I bought this book. And we will be using this book, and every time I use it, of course, I'm going to show you, so that you see that I am not just making up, that I really love this book. So, a big shout out to Debbie Tomsky. Thank you. A beautiful book. I can't wait to create from your beautiful stitches. Now, I want to get to this one before my camera runs out, I hope. Well, the next one I have is a very, very nice book, and this would be for a beginner. This is The Complete Photo Guide to Knitting, and this is by Margaret Huber. More than 400 large format color photos. All you need to know to knit. And right off the bat, as soon as you open it up, she gives a great introduction about this book. And of course, I won't go through to read it on camera because it takes too long. And she signs off. It's just like having her sign it. But she gives a nice history of knitting, just for those who are new and who would just like some FYI information. You know, there's some people that just love to read stuff like this. And then she's got this cute, I know it's not her, but there's this cute little girl with her little, what is that, a babushka? What do you call that? Her little scarf. And she's knitting away. Oh, this is a child knitting in 1915. Oh, isn't that cute? But there's a lot of little information like that in this book. And a lot of good pictures on your basic, you know, technique of knitting that most books, you know, would have. So you see the nice pictures. But of course, now we can go to the YouTube if you have, you know, any kind of problems and you need to see someone actually do the stitch. But when you open the book, bam! Oh, I love it. Look at the swatch of the photo of the swatch of the fabric that she gives. It is absolutely beautiful. Strange thing to me, though, I don't understand, is, you know, they left all this white area. You know, I would have, I don't know. But anyway, I love it. It's just beautiful. And simple names, smooth sand, skill, and on this one, she gives skill levels. Skill level, easy. She gives a cast on, a multiple of 2 plus 1. Here is row 1, right side, knit all across row. Row 2, and she gives a pattern. Isn't that pretty? I just love looking at the pictures because they're so colorful. They're not monotone, you know how some books give you all white or all green or, oh no, look, they just jump off the page. You know, I can just see a beginner saying, oh, I want to knit that, I want to knit that. It is so exciting. And this is why it says a great book for a beginner. Once she gives you a stitch or a variety of stitches, then she will add an interesting, simple pattern to help you to go from just a stitch. You know, a lot of people teach, you know, demonstrate stitches, but what do you do with all those little swatches? Okay, so she does go into simple patterns and to help you, you know, to understand how you take the stitch and then design something. And then we go on to light texture. They're categorized, you know, she has different, that was, I don't know what, let's see, what was that? Basic stitches, and then here's light texture stitches. And like I say, you can see, look how clean it is. It is just, and the colors. And each one, she gives an idea of the skill level, a suggestion. Then here's another pattern where she's going to show you how maybe to take one of the patterns in that section and then maybe produce a pair of socks. Isn't that great? I just love it. I think I think it's just a wonderful beginner book. If you're a beginner, this book needs to be in your library. You can stop at this one and there's enough in here for you to knit forever. But, well, we don't want you to because we got other books. Okay, look here. The Pines, number 1. The Pines, number 2. Here is Seed Chevron. Let's see if there's any other. Did she add any other information here? Oh, she has a few notes, but not information as to the weight of yarn or anything like that. But, of course, the pattern is very clear. And here's another pattern. After you maybe learn some of those stitches, now you can put it to use in doing a pattern from her book. And then it goes on into, you know, color and in, you know, some fancy stitches. Now, one other thing about this book, in the back, her charts. So there must be a few with charts. Oh, there are a few projects that have charts. Mainly the cable ones. Oh, like here. Here's double cable. Here is small claw cable. And she has some very nice simple charts that are color-coded, which I really like. And I think it would be very helpful for a newbie to have something color-coded. And look how pretty that looks. To have, here is twisted chain, a very common cable, but just to see it in the chart, in the color-coded, it just really pops. Now, what I wanted to show you was, in the back of the book, she has a great, let's see, can I find it? Have I lost it? It's in here, I promise. She has done a fantastic job on presenting all her symbols. Well, it's here. And I'm not going to stop the tape. I'm just going to keep going because I'm trying to do this before my camera dies. Oh, there's a picture of her. Let's see what he looked like. Oh, isn't she very pretty? Look at that. Oh, about the author. Oh, she says she has about 14 other books. So that would be nice, you know, once you get in one. You know, once I get an author that I like or a designer, you know, I look like Melissa Leitman. I look for her work. I try to find other things that she's done. Because if I like one, usually you'll like another. So, well, I was going to find you the key code, but, well, here it is right here. Sorry, Jay wasn't on the mark. Okay, here's her chart symbols. Nice, clear, large print. Easy to follow. And it's right here, right near the cabling. So once you start a project, you don't have to, you'd mark this page. I always mark my chart pages or my you know, abbreviations or anything that a reference page, so that I can always find it. But isn't that great? So, for my new beginners of knitting who would like to just go ahead and jump in, you know enough that you can read a pattern, this is a book for you. It is the Complete Photo Guide of Knitting by Margaret Huber. More than 400 large format color photos. And just like I've gone through, your money will be well spent. And like I say, if it's not in the stores anymore, then I know you can find it online because I've seen it. So, I think this will be one. This is a winner. This is a keeper. Okay, let me reset my camera, and we have one more in this group of knitting stitch books in my first review. Well, how are you doing so far? Are you enjoying this? Is it enough information? Well, all right, I have one more, and before we wrap this up and get ready for our New Year tutorials coming up. Okay, see you back. Well, finally, the last book in this selection of stitch books. Of course, I would have to end with my new book that it's been about a month that I got it off of Amazon, and I absolutely love this book. Well, let's see. Let's talk about this book. First of all, it's not by an author, so there's no name to tell you about. It's just printed by a company. The name of it is 750 Knitting Stitches, the Ultimate Knit Stitch Bible. And I'm sure you've seen it advertised. I've already seen it on the YouTube. I've seen it on other places. But a couple of months ago, you know, I got mine off Amazon. I had been waiting for this book for 3 or 4 months, and I was so excited when I received it. I got mine in hard copy, and it's just very pretty. I've signed it. And so now let's just take a tour, or inside tour of this book. Well, first of all, it has beautiful pictures of knitting stitches. So that's very inviting, very nice. And it's just a really pretty book. There's a nice introduction that most books have. That's standard. And then tools and equipment for the knitter. And just as usual, starting with, you know, basic knitting information. Casting on, the knit stitch, the purl stitch, the bind off. Some decreasing. And just a lot of information for a new, you know, fairly new knitter. Like I say, I don't get much, you know, with the YouTube now. You really, still pictures just don't take the place of seeing someone actually demonstrate in real time, or, you know, live on the YouTube. But this is how books are set up. And then there's a section on how to read charts, and there's more beautiful, look at those pictures. More beautiful pictures. I hope there's not a big glare. I'm sitting right up under the light, but let's see. Alright, so now, the first thing that I noticed right off the bat when I, you know, was trying to look at this book so I could share what I found, you know, so I could tell you what I think of this book. First thing, as soon as you get into the book, they go ahead and give you key to stitch diagrams, which I like. I like when it's just right up front so you'll know exactly where it is. And it is very, very written up, very nice. The print is a good size. Yep, the print is very nice, and it gives excellent details of what each symbol or stitch, what it represents. So look at all of these. This is so nice. It's written quite well. And I just like it because it's up front. Very nice. Okay, then the next thing that I was really impressed with after the key to the stitch diagram, you know, for charts and things like that, especially your cables and your cross stitches and your twisted stitches. Right, the next thing you find is the abbreviations right up front. I like that. They are very nice and clear. Like I said, I could read it without even having my glasses on. And it's so nice, the print size and how it is arranged on the book right up front. So that's a plus for me. That's a plus that I really like to see, that they really give good abbreviations and that you can actually read them. Now, then there's not, after that, they jump right in. They have everything in categories. This is knit and purl, the knit and purl section. You know, they normally put that right up front. And it's very clean, very, the pictures are very nice. The pictures of each swatch is very nice. The name is really nice and big. Now I like that. Look at that. Just really, you don't have any problem not being able to read the stitch. You know, herringbone, 1, garter stitch, loop pattern. This is all the oatmeal, I'm sorry, the bow knot, the diagonal ridge stitch, the first stitch. Okay, and as you go on, of course, then it starts to get into more intricate stitches. There's the labyrinth, there's the plain diamond, then embossed diamond. Now, so far I haven't seen any charts, but there are charts. Yeah, there are charts on in the back, but look how nice and clear and plain the stitches are written. Now, it's some pages, I guess when the stitches are quite involved, it's just a few on the page. Then there's, for the simpler stitches, then they have more on the page. The oblique rib, the stockinette stitch triangle, the vertical bar lines. So, it's just, it's like having a new updated version of the first book I showed you. That is what I call my classic book of classic stitches. This is like having an updated version. That's what I'm going to call it. Look at that. Everything is just very to the point. Now, as we move on through, let's go to another. That's the knit and purl. Now this is cable and Aran stitches. All right. Let's look at some of those with the chart. Okay, here is cable with baubles. Right up front, nice name, nice and large. A panel of 9 stitches on a background of a reverse stockinette. And then, of course, the pattern. Now, there's not a chart with this, but over on the horn cable, there's a very nice chart. It's not, considering all this space here, the chart is small, but even I can read it, though, if I just had to. So I'm surprised, having all this space, that the chart wouldn't be a little larger. Now here's some more intricate charts. They're not color-coded, but they're tone on tone. You know, there's light and darks to distinguish, I guess, different parts of the pattern. But look at those. Look at the samples. Look at the samples of the knitted swatches. Very nice. I mean, I am just looking forward. Like I said, this is a new book, and I took the one, what was that I took out? Oh, the school bell. Remember, I took the school bell stitch out of this book because I just couldn't stand it. I had to, I just had to grab something right away. So I'm really looking forward to working out of this book, and like I said, I believe this will be my go-to book. And I think once you If you decide that you want to get into stitch books, I believe this will be a go-to book for you too. Look at that. So simple. And I noticed, you know, that they keep the patterns just very neat and very fresh looking. Look at that. Firm diamonds. Multiple of 10 stitches plus 1. There's 16 rows in this pattern. Oh, I could just... Oh my, I guess I'll be up tonight wanting to knit something out of this book. Very nice book. So, and every once in a while they'll give a little note, a little tip in the book. I guess they, for instance, this says tip. A yarn over is the most common type of increase to be found in lace and eyelet stitch patterns. The increase is made by wrapping the yarn over the needle, over the right hand needle, but without working any stitch on the left hand needle. It is one of the easiest type of increases to make in knitting. The yarn over is nearly always paired with a decrease in order to keep the overall stitch count in a row constant. That's just a little tip, you know, most knitters would know that, but I guess they were trying to, you know, just be helpful. But as you can see, it is just cram full of patterns. And of course they have their color section, and then they have some, you know, have all the normal things you'd see at the end of the book. Look at that. Beautiful charts. Let's see at the very end. I'm always interested in the edging. What type of edging do they have? Is it something different? Is it new? Is it fresh? Here's scallop ruffle. That's interesting. Lace cable. So there's plenty to work with. I think there's enough in this book to keep us all busy for a long time. So I wanted to end on a high note, and this was my new book. This is the one that I will be working a lot of stitches out of. I think we're going to have a lot of happy time in this book. And if you are, like you say, if you're going to get into stitch books, I hope I have presented the different books. And like I said, this is just one, you know, this is my first review. So I'm going to, and I tried to go over the newest books first. I didn't want to like wait and hold out and try to build the suspense. I wanted you to see the newest books or the latest books that I had. Now I can just simply, as time goes on, not only do my crochet books, but then I can go backtrack and go maybe some of the older books that you may still have or that you may still be using, just to talk about them on down the road. But I wanted you to see what you know, the books that I will be working out of starting this year. And of course, I want you to be a part of it. Well, okay, so I really think that this is enough for this first review. I hope that I have you know, brought something that you can really use. Not just simply talking, but I hope I have shared something that has been of interest to you, that will encourage you and support you as you start this journey or continue the journey in knitting and how to use stitch books. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I have. I'm looking forward to the new year. I'm excited. I hope you are too. I hope you tell your friends, and so they can come along with us. And like I say, I have some new things that I want to try this year. And as you know, as I grow, I want you to grow with me. Or as you grow, then I can grow with you. Because I'm always open to, you know, what you think. And anything we can do to keep our knitting moving forward. Well, I've come to the end of this, so all I can say is happy knitting. I'm so glad that we've finally got the new year started. Again, Happy New Year, and thank you so much for joining me. And let's just continue to go on. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. Well, this is Jay, and this is my first stitch book review, and I hope that I have, like I said, I hope I've given information that will encourage you and support your desire to to continue and to grow in learning how to use these books. So until we meet again, and that won't be long, this is Jay. This is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. See ya.